into my office and I'll give you a nice cavorking, but until then, you're listening to Slurmcast, a podcast for no reason. Today we'll be discussing Season 6, Episode 6, Lethal Inspection. My name is Michelle Burlingame. With me are Tommy Roulette.
How's it going?
Pete Woodward.
I'm bleeding.
And our guest today is Faces of Cleveland photographer Laura Wimbles.
I just got dumped.
Oh. What? Oh, no.
That's why I brought the wine.
Oh my god. What are you absolutely serious?
Yes.
Oh my god. We'll talk off mic. Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's fine. No, I thought I'd save that until we started recording because it would get the proper
The shock.
Yeah. Wow.
the audience like "Wah."
You're bleeding on the inside. I have renewed my vendetta against vintage doorknobs because this house that we recorded is like 100 years old, and there's several interior doors that have like the beaten up sort of screw twisty knob thing with the bad,
Sure.
it's all falling
Yeah.
apart, and the knob on our bedroom keeps pulling apart. So I'm like, I'm gonna fix this real quick because
But
it's
the knob
letting loose.
is one of those where it's still intact and you can still like function it a little bit, but it's just so loose that
I thought so. And then I took it apart and tightened the screws on the one side and went to put the stem back through, and it wouldn't go through. I'm like, what the I just took it out of here, and it like wouldn't fit. So I get that sorted out and turn the other side around, and one of the screws jammed, and the screwdriver just like right into my hand, and blood. And then Tom's got like a hole in his
Cracked
head.
my head open.
Probably
It was not a
concussed.
concussion.
So
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, I stayed awake for well over 8 hours,
Good.
and I don't know. That's it, right?
you see
As
Star?
long as you stay
you
awake
could
for 8
still
hours.
have a concussion.
Yeah.
Just
It
'cause
wasn't-
You're just not supposed to go to sleep if you have one.
or if
I-
you're feeling sleepy.
I didn't really hit it that hard. It was more just the angle. It was like a corner, so that's what it like kind of gouged me. So it's not super deep, but it just there was a lot of blood coming from that spot.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I had to do a wound suck for the first batch because the bathroom was occupied by a child we're watching today, and I'm like, oh, that's got a good iron level today. I mean, I'm actually yesterday I was eligible to give blood again, so now I know what the Red Cross is after.
They call me or text me like every week, even though I've removed my cell phone number from my online profile or whatever and said, do not call or text me. They still fucking call me every single week.
do.
And it's like multiple times a day. And the people never leave a message. It's always a 216 number. And then when I look it up, it's a Cleveland area code for out of town listeners. Every time I look up the number, it's like Mrs. So-and-so in Willoughby. Like I can tell it's like the same group of people on like the east side that I guess I'm sure they have older people that just want to do the phone tree to volunteer or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty annoying. They have my number printed out somewhere and just
want your
keep
blood.
calling.
They just want your blood.
It's yeah.
I mean, do you donate?
I have donated several times through work because you get like
Get a free Chipotle burrito,
or like a $5 Amazon gift card,
Yep.
Who doesn't love
or
cookies?
like I won like a $25 Visa gift card through work just for signing up for the
25 pounds
drive.
of blood.
Well,
I've never given blood.
I'm at.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Because it's my blood. I'm not giving it to anybody.
Even in high school, like to get out of a
No.
class, like
No, you know
wow,
what?
That was the best.
Because also, like, when I was in high school, like, as soon as I hit, like, 18, I kept getting tattoos. So it was like,
yeah, but
You
it
were
doesn't
a
matter.
risk.
I
You
think
couldn't
it's 3
get-
months. You couldn't
Right.
back then.
yeah, I don't know what it is now. I've just
I just
never given
think-
blood.
I mean, my
They don't want
blood's
my
great.
blood.
Yeah, I've got.
They got
I'm,
bad
blood.
I'm O positive.
Yep.
So
I don't
they
even know what my
want
blood
me.
type
Oh, you are
is.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm O positive too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
White
what are you,
people.
Tom?
He doesn't even know.
51 lifetime units. That's 6 gallons and then some.
Jesus.
So
what
they don't-
app is that?
I
'Cause
was
mine
about to
doesn't
say, I
look
love
like
that
that.
you have an app for that because
It's great. You can schedule, and that's the thing. Like I will
Yeah,
schedule.
I just do it through work.
But I have to go out of town a lot, and then I'm not going to give somewhere else because then they like, have you ever given under a fake name? And like, no,
Does my
No, I
doctor
haven't.
know what my blood type is?
probably
Probably.
not.
I mean, if you've ever had blood drawn for something,
Oh,
Just-
several times.
Just
oh yeah, then they
then
know.
they would
yeah,
know.
they probably
like
know.
just scrape off some of the shit on your head right now.
Yeah.
And
We should do a special call-in segment to his doctor and
You
ask.
can. There's a kit that you can buy for a couple bucks online where you just bleed onto it, and if it turns like pink, you're
pregnant.
but would you have
Yeah.
access to that
Like
with your
negative or
forensics?
Yeah, what if I
blue.
bled on a pregnancy test?
It's also that wouldn't do anything.
You are the father.
Yup.
That's how you check to see if you were impregnated by Satan. You have to bleed on it.
It starts boiling.
Yeah, it combusts. So this was, I did enjoy this episode. It was just weird.
It was very weird, but I really liked it. And I've been on your podcast once before, and I apologize profusely to your listeners because as much of a Simpsons fan as I am, I have never delved into the realm of Futurama. Still haven't, aside from the couple episodes
It's a lot
that
to
I've
take
seen.
on.
So yeah, but what I really enjoyed about this episode is how familiar it felt to a lot of Simpsons specific humor. Just like, the kissing of the fingers with like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There were just a lot of it didn't feel like a narrow storyline that was inaccessible. And not to say that a lot of the episodes are, but this was
some
very,
of them
I'm sure.
definitely are.
But this was a very accessible, easily laughable episode that
There's a lot of non sequitur type stuff too in this one. I think that might be part of the Simpson-y vibe.
Yeah, there's also some references that we can talk about when we get to them.
Yeah,
To prior jokes earlier in the season and whatnot.
the Civil War reenactment stuff was just
It's so good.
yeah.
What the
Sithel
Sithel
Yeah,
War.
yeah.
I know. Well, so okay. So does this put Futurama in the Star Wars universe? If the Sith are invading,
No, it's
Earth.
in our universe
But then
where
this
Star Wars was a
was
movie.
a movie. But then how would people invade? Like,
Well, maybe because of the movies, they started. I don't know. They didn't have actual lightsabers; they were toys.
it was a
But do you
reenactment. They
think
don't
the
have
reenactors
No,
had?
it turns out like the Siths that maybe those are an alien planet. The
That's
Siths.
what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It was
that's
versus
a
the
coincidence.
Earthicans and the Siths. So it was a war. It wasn't necessarily has to do with Star Wars.
It was the Sith invasion of 2865.
But the cardboard cutout on the ship, which wasn't like a Star Wars ship. I don't know that never got beyond like X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and that's when I kind of checked out as far as knowing names. But that was beautiful. And then the Darth Destroyer, Darth Trocious, Darth Sploder, Darth Erderer, and Darth Ithead. that was so fantastic. And I was wondering, was this prequel backlash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when did the prequels stop? 99 was Phantom
I
Menace,
think
right?
2004?
Yeah, that sounds
2005?
right.
So this is 6 years later, and they're still, maybe it was coming out on video or something. I don't know. It seemed like a stretch for it, but I
It
guess
was probably a third re-release of a DVD exclusive box set with
both
Yeah.
2
versions of
minutes of
Jabba.
extras. Yeah.
Yeah, 2005 was Return of the Sith. So
I mean, they really just took that pun and ran with it. That's what I think happened, which is a total Simpsons thing to do.
I bet that was something just like in the writer's room. Somebody was just like, maybe they went to say Civil War or something, and then it was like it was civil.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Sith, and then that's where it came from. I'd like to think that.
See, it could have gone they could have had a civil war and just had one person with multiple personalities fighting everybody.
Aw.
They could have done that. I just thought of that
I bet
now, which is why it's half baked.
1/8 of our audience got that reference.
If Michelle, if you got it, then that's. I mean,
It took me a second, and I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that
Oh,
show.
yeah,
I never
that
watched
show.
yeah, moonlighting.
Mm-hmm.
They all fought Bruce Willis and Curtis Armstrong. Oh my God, he needs to be in more stuff. I love that guy.
Bender's costume's based on an actual Civil War.
Well, I was wondering about that because he had that weird ass ginger wig.
Man, I wish I had an iPad. Or is that a Kindle that you're using?
No, it's just a
He's got
tiny
the
one.
mini. We
I
all
just
have
want
our
everyone to
little-
know I am the only one without a scrollable device to reference back on
Well,
this episode
we are
that I kind of
pros.
watched while I was a little high, if I'm being honest.
General George Pickett.
What? What was he picking?
He's famous for
He was
Pickett's
picking it.
charge at the Battle of Gettysburg. He was a
Is he a Union or a Confederate?
Confederate soldier.
So he was with the. I mean, that was the other thing is they kind of mixed those up then because everybody was wearing blue.
That photo makes him look like he owns a brewery in Ohio City.
Isn't that
Like at the top there.
Yeah, he kind of does. Lots of forehead, slicked over, comb over.
that's what they're going for at those breweries? All those.
I'm gonna bring back arm garters like a motherfucker. I got some new suits and I want
That's
to be
your
able to
brewery
take
name.
off the arm garters.
What's that? The bar that's downtown that is like fancy and it's in a basement over by like
East 4th?
yeah.
Speakeasy?
Oh, is it-
Yeah. What's it called?
I think it's called Speakeasy, isn't it?
No, it's
It's
not.
something with an S, though.
Yeah, it is an S. I'll remember it in like an hour.
I'll remember it in like a day when it doesn't matter anymore and I'm by myself and I'm like, Southingtons or something.
Yeah,
Just call into the show and leave a
I
voicemail.
almost had it. It's like right on the tip. It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Because if we get it in time, Tom can just edit it in.
Either way, I went there on my birthday last year, and it was so busy that I just turned around and left. Actually, it was 2 years ago because my hair was green, and I was like, we went down there, and it was a bunch of like older people like boozing it up
Well, just
with
to,
their
just
like
to,
crazy fancy jewelry and shit on, and I was
to be clear, when you say older people, you're talking about people like 10 years older than me or my age.
more than that.
Okay.
It was like, yeah. It was
Like retirees?
like middle-aged and older people who were all, you could tell, had plenty of money to be down there and
Yeah.
order whatever fucking 20. We couldn't even get a drink. The bar was so crowded.
Well,
But
it
those
takes
dudes,
17 minutes to
Yeah.
make a fucking drink.
they're all making
They're
side,
handcrafted, yeah.
sidecars and whatever. But all
Tom
those dudes,
Bombadils and
yeah,
whatnot.
Tom Bombadils. It's a short, hairy drink.
How old are you?
29.
Okay, I just turned 35. How old are you?
I'll be 43 in a couple months.
Okay, great skin. You exfoliate.
Oh,
you
I
must
don't-
use FPF. Brandy's got it down good with you.
I don't know. It's all the hair, and I pluck out the whites, and it helps.
Just evens it out. And you?
62.
Aw,
34.
it's a new hip.
It's a good range. It's just that like as frequently comes up. I'm in the context of this room very old, and in the world at large, that's like the Sybil reference. Like that's old for me to get, but then if it's gonna get picked up by you, there's got to be that Venn diagram of people watching this that'll get it because it's probably been used as a reference on The Simpsons at some point.
I have to ask you though. So I just turned 35, and not to make this about me, but it was my birthday. No. I was literally, I was genuinely curious. What do you all define as middle aged? We had this discussion a couple days ago, and I was like,
Is that why you got dumped?
Maybe
Are you
I
too
think so
old?
because he was younger than me, and I don't know. Yeah,
Fucking millennials.
I know. It's like the next version. I guess
Definitely
I couldn't
wouldn't
upgrade
consider.
my OS.
I would not consider 35 middle aged at
I
all.
thought I was like,
I
well,
think like
times 2, that's
50
70,
plus.
So that's like I would
or maybe
love
like
to live to
maybe
be
like
70.
45 or 50 plus. Right around. I guess it
if I'm
depends
going
on how
by,
old you are
like,
on the inside, though.
My family history of when the average person has died, then 35 is definitely middle age.
And in your case, maybe even less. if you're going on immediate family history.
You know what? You guys were actually on topic because of life expectancy talk. We're on script with the episode. But what is average life expectancy? I think it's like 80 or like 78 for a man, 79 for a woman.
It's probably between 80 and 85 with women lasting longer.
Yeah.
just because of sheer evil.
And spite.
Yeah. But it's I mean, and that comes back in here too. I mean, there's a line where the professor gets knocked over. He's like, "You're dead." And he goes, "No, I'm just very old." But the one thing that got me on here was Hattie McDougal walks through the crowd while they're fighting, and she's walking a dog. I thought she was a cat lady. The old lady in the bathrobe, she's walking a
Not
poodle.
necessarily.
She just
has a cat.
She's just a hoarder with several animals.
I'm sure.
Okay. I mean, most of my exposure is from that fucking game that I can't stop playing, and she's like plays with her cats.
By the way, this was another soundbite heavy episode
I wouldn't
from
know.
the game. It was like 3 minutes straight where everything they said was just a clip from the game, and I'm like, oh, cool.
It was obviously easier for them just to use the later
Yeah.
episodes, like get the rights to use that in the game than probably the original stuff.
So that retractable laser that was like the sticky frog tongues was gross too. You know what I'm talking? Like, but the thing. So this weekend
when Fry shot,
Yeah.
and then he had to roll it back
Rolled
up.
it.
So I spent several hours with my daughter this weekend, which on the face of it sounds like a good thing. She was watching this YouTube series, or a YouTuber personality named Wenji. It made me want to stab out every hole in my body and stuff. Some things that aren't holes, it's apparently. Apparently, she's infinitely more popular than we are. She's the biggest YouTuber in Australia, and I'm going to talk shit like I never knew about this thing. She's this Asian woman who plays up sort of the cutesy Hello Kitty type sort of personality, but then she edits everything so that she's two people. She's Wenji and Wendy. She's got like crazy colored hair, and it's all about like, we're going to play pranks. And I'm watching this shit with my daughter. I'm like, why do it's their pranks? They're funny. I'm like, no, they're mean and they're dumb. Like, but one of those pranks was like, you can make a fake ketchup bottle where you tie a ribbon inside it and you put a knot on the end, and then you go, hey, do you want some ketchup? And you spray it, and it'll shoot the ribbon at the person. Like, this literally happened the same day I watched the Futurama episode. I'm like, this is A, very strange, and
How
B,
is that even a fucking prank?
she was doing shit like making mayonnaise popsicles to give to your friends, and I'm like,
Okay, that one's a little funny.
no, but it's just like, A, huge fucking waste of mayonnaise.
True.
And then she's mixing like food coloring in it to make it. Oh, it's this strawberry yogurt. This is my like weird Australian via John Travolta accent, by the way. I can't even get in
She's
there.
an Asian woman that is from Australia.
She is a Chinese Australian woman.
Okay.
Yes, because one of the episodes was about her history, and now
Does she have she has an Australian accent?
yes, but then she's in
And
videos
she does
with
these
guys
pranks
with American
in Australia.
accents. Yes,
Does she ever prank kangaroos?
I didn't see any, but probably.
Oh,
I mean, it
that'd be-
started out she was watching Logan Paul. I'm like, turn this shit
Oh,
off.
yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm
I
like,
thought he was banned.
well, I mean, she's like, why? I go, because he's a very bad person. He's awful. And I don't even want to get into the fact that he like grew up 10 minutes away from here.
Yeah.
Like,
Of
course
just
he's from
fuck that guy.
Westlake.
Yeah. Of
With
course.
that
Right?
hair, yeah.
Of fucking course.
On brand. Says the guy who grew up in Rocky River. I mean, look, we all have our cross to bear.
Robbie Pizzatello, former guest of the show, grew up with that guy. Went to high school with same grade. Went to school with him the entire time they were at Westlake.
I can only imagine. I'm not even gonna finish that sentence. Just
I wonder how much money he makes off of those videos being monetized. Ugh.
I don't think he's monetized anymore. I think they
that might be the chord that they
they
cut.
demonetized him, and
Right, but is that a video by video basis that they do that on? I don't know.
I think they completely removed his channel as like a monetized.
Influencer, okay.
Yeah.
But it's the internet. I mean, other people just grab it
Yeah.
and post it, and content is meaningless, and ownership
know if-
is.
Yeah.
I never
abstract
really
concept.
watched his videos, but I thought that they had all been like, I mean, I'm sure some of the dumber, harmless ones are still up, but are they all still
don't-
up? Or
I mean, she was watching it. It was on, so
guess
some sort of but he's too pranks.
I think he's
pranks.
still making videos, but probably not popular anymore.
I mean, like I do enjoy pranks and pratfalls as much as the next guy. Like I think I don't remember if we were talking about it on the show or off, but like love Jackass, but those guys are self-inflicting their shit in a horrible, dangerous way. This is just like, let's do dumb shit and offend a whole nation of people. Can we do that? I mean, normally that's something the president does, not some dickhead with a YouTube channel. But that just the laser, it was like,
Yeah, that's how we
so
got on
gross. Yeah.
Sometimes the internet makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, I know. It's just bad. The winning of the war based on Hermes calculations, like they really rode that one into the ground. But I kind of liked it because he's just doing the accounting as it goes of who's dead, who costs more. I mean, that would be a much easier way to do it.
Cost
You
per
could just,
casualty.
$12 per life cut tragically short.
yeah, and not even. I mean, did they even do accounts? Did he have arm garters on in that costume?
Bender called him a number crunching crumb muncher.
Number crunchy crumb muncher. The one Sith kid was telling tell my mom to wait for me at Quiznos parking lot. I miss Quiznos.
Really?
Yeah,
There
I love
still are
Quiznos.
Quiznos.
I know, but you have to. I kept traveling farther and farther away to
You
go
have
to
to
one,
seek them out.
and then it just got. They moved the one that was like within reasonable driving distance for something.
Have
like
you
that.
eaten at Firehouse Subs?
I have.
Is it the same? Is it
No.
different?
It's different. There's something about Quiznos subs that were just. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I don't.
You can get the little. You get the peppers. They have little pepper bar.
That's one of those fast food restaurants like White Castle where there's like shit tons of them in Columbus, but nothing up here. Like they
just
all pulled out of
retracted.
Cleveland. Yeah.
We used to have one west 117th.
Oh yeah, I have to drive past that sad White Castle every morning
The
on my
old
way to work.
spooky abandoned White Castle.
I want somebody to open up a new franchise there. Like I want some brave soul to be like, you know what? Fuck you, White Castle. I'm using your building. I'm buying it, and I'm opening up a White Castle in it.
What's is it? UTBAPH. There's a website called Used to Be a Pizza Hut that's all about repurposed Pizza Hut buildings from the 70s, and it's like they turn into Chinese restaurants or whatever. There's a Taco Bell building on the corner of Puritas and Rocky River Drive that was the old school Taco Bell, and it just got abandoned. And then someone opened up finally a new Mediterranean grill, and it burned down 2 weeks later, and it's just a shell now.
Oh no.
It looks like the Alamo. It's all blackened coming out of the windows and stuff, and it's still the stucco.
It looks like the Alamo.
Yeah.
I didn't believe in God before, but after hearing that, that's
It's kind of hilarious.
Lightning hit it, and that was that. The one other thing about just while we're on the topic of sandwiches, the icing on the shit cake that was my Friday last week after dealing all day with people that can't do their jobs right, basically, at 10 o'clock at night, I went to Penn Station to bring home some sandwiches, and they fucked up my sandwich just by not making it right. And they're closed.
Was
and
the
it's
bread
too-
on the inside?
It all fell apart, but all I wanted was some roughage. I just give me a cheesesteak. Can you put some lettuce and tomatoes on it? I look at the ticket. It says lettuce and tomatoes, and they just did not give a fuck. But I didn't find out till I got home, and it's just this is my life now.
Yeah,
That's
everything.
disappointing.
It was so bad because I really needed the vitamin C out of the tomatoes and the
Crunch of the lettuce.
yeah, just something to make me feel less.
Why we
guilty.
need to get robots to start making sandwiches.
I know they've got the kiosks to order now. Let's.
See, that's why I get Uber Eats.
It's
And
kind of the same.
You can send the driver back.
I can just see, here's my story.
Yeah.
See, I think this was Friday as well.
Just because Michelle's honest.
No, I got Indian food using Uber Eats, and it took kind of a long time for it was over an hour for the food to get to my house, which usually it doesn't take that long for Uber Eats to show up. But it was longer than they said 45 minutes, and it was an hour and 15. So, that's pretty. That's a half hour difference.
It's a long time
That's
to wait
a long
for a
time
dosa.
to wait for and
That's
So
the
I-
difference between a hot and cold taco.
yeah. So I always I have them deliver my food to the back door because it's easier because of the way that my house is set up. Back door is easier than going in through the front foyer and then figuring out which of the 4 doors goes to my apartment in the house. So he ignored that the instructions to go to the back door where he could literally just hand me the food and from outside to me and go. And then so I finally figure out where he is. He's at the front door. he hands me all these bags and says, thank you, and walks away. And I'm like, this seems like a lot of food. Like, I don't think I ordered this much food. Why is this so heavy? I walked in my house. He just
Diwali
gave it to
in
me.
July.
Yeah, he just handed it. He just gave it to me and turned around. Like I didn't have time to
You
say
are now
like,
responsible for this baby.
just handed it to me and walked away. I go inside. I set down the bags on the kitchen table and I look at it and I'm like, my name's not Heather. And then I turn around, I looked on the order ticket on my bag. There's my stuff, and then the other bag was like someone else's, like 4 meals that were piled on top of each other in the smaller sized bag.
Oh.
And it was like she got like palak paneer and all this good stuff that I would have I like. And I don't know what to do. And I tried calling using the Uber app because they don't let you have the driver's numbers anymore. You have to go through the app to like contact the driver. And it was saying like the phone number you're calling from is not associated with your Uber account. And I was like, bullshit, yes it is. Like I've only ever had this phone number the whole time I've had Uber. So I called a bunch of times and I couldn't get through. And I filed I hit there's a problem with my order, and then I said, I said other, and I said driver gave me my food and someone else's food. Then like 10 minutes later, he like shows up at my knocking at my front door, and I was like, yeah, he's back, and I handed him the food, and he's like, thank you so much, and then he runs back to his car, and later on, I get an email that says, we're sorry you experienced an issue with your order. We've issued a full refund. So not only did I get my food, but I got it for free.
Oh.
I love that.
That's a good Samaritan.
That's the difference.
And I had ordered a whole lot of food because I ordered food for dinner and then lunch at work the next day. So I had gotten that's why I didn't really think much when the bags were super heavy. This is a really off-topic story for this
we're always
podcast
talk
about Futurama.
food.
But
I know you're going to all equally hate me for going off topic, but I'm going to keep it going. It's a 2-second story. I was at I was at 16-bit. Similar thing happened to me. I was walking in and I saw a 16-bit is a bar in Cleveland, Ohio that has a bunch of
barcade.
Barcade, yes, thank you.
We've got them in Columbus and Cincy too, and I think Indianapolis maybe.
I think they've moved that way.
Yeah.
Tons of video games, arcade games, and pinball machines. And I'm walking in, $100 bill.
What?
Holy
on the
shit.
ground, like parallel to the bouncer checking IDs at the door. So I pick it up and I'm like, oh my God. And my first instinct, I turn to the guy checking IDs at the door and I say, I just found this $100 bill. And there was a group of people walking in as I was walking out. It was like 7 people. It's probably theirs,
Yeah.
So he takes it and he's like, no, thank you. That was really cool. And I'm like, you just might want to, ask them because they're going down the street. So I just leave it on my way. And I go to the bar where my ex-boyfriend and friend, Patrick, they're standing at the bar. And I was like, I just found a $100 bill, but I gave it to the bouncer. And they're like, you idiot, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, why? I figured someone dropped it. Like, if I dropped $100, if I dropped $5, I would be like,
where's my money?
I went to art school. I'm poor.
Yeah.
And
me too. That's why I was so excited about free Indian food.
Right. There's nothing better. So 30 minutes of them just like razzing me, like, why didn't you just keep it? Why did you give it to the bouncer? He's just going to keep it, blah, 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 blah. Well, here's what happened. The manager of 16-bit comes up to me and she's like, are you the one who gave the dollar bill? Mm-hmm. She said dollar bill so she, could vest out that I knew what I was talking about. To the bouncer, and I said, yeah, and she hands it back to me, and she said, none of those people who were walking out dropped it. It's yours. Thank you for being honest.
Oh, wow.
So I was like,
wow.
Suck on that.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Good karma came back to you quickly.
I kept going, yeah.
And especially kudos to them, because if it was no one, they would have just kept it.
They could have easily kept it.
But
and
super tips.
Yeah. So I asked the bouncer, I asked the manager, I'm like, can I please buy you guys a drink? Like, I guess I could have split it and gave them, but I still I found that whole thing.
They're on the clock. It's a conflict of interest. It's a whole thing. You can't.
I had good intentions.
Yeah. So getting back to this thing, and this is the fun part. Yeah. No. It's all. I mean, Bender is a hustler.
Yes.
Bender would have just kept it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
he would have
so
plugged up his leak with it.
I was trying to figure out if this involved a bunch of retcon or not, because there have been previous episodes where his personality's been downloaded into other shit or moved into other shit. It's like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. And then all of a sudden, he's like, oh, I've got a wireless backup unit. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't know that he didn't have the wireless backup unit,
No.
but like the one where they go to the central bureaucracy before.
This whole episode is just goes off. This is a very similar to like how the Simpsons kept redoing origin stories as time progressed.
As Homer and
like
Marge.
how they met and how they had their kids. This is just they decided to tell a Bender backstory that really
contradicts
everything else.
Yeah. Even just like 2 seasons ago was that when was the brain switching episode? Did we even watch it? We haven't gotten to that one yet?
Where they all no.
I thought
that's
we
in
did.
this in these last
I
few.
need to stop watching episodes ahead of time. Because then I think we already did them and okay, well there's a brain
Spoiler.
switching.
Yeah.
It's not a spoiler for a TV show that came out 7 years ago.
That's
There's an episode that's coming up where they all switch brains and Bender switches brains and bodies with another robot. A couple other robots, actually.
Oh boy.
And people switch brains with other people, and that doesn't quite make much sense. If he was able to switch brains into a different body, couldn't he have just done it with another bending unit that had the
like Flexo.
like Flexo got disposed of though a couple episodes ago. He was on the
But did it matter because they could have just downloaded Flexo's person? The whole thing.
Yeah.
The mind
Yeah.
boggles. One of my favorite things I think about the whole reenactment though was Zoidberg's curly wig. Like I was trying to figure out what that whole thing was because it looked pretty fetching on him. First of all, like it was almost like Mr. Glass from Unbreakable, like that kind of off lopsided Samuel L. Jackson deal, which I guess is timely since apparently they're making a sequel to all that shit. Like it's coming out now. Will Shyamalan get his mojo back? Did he already with was it Switch?
I don't know. I'm not really an M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong fan.
He was good for like the first 2.5, and then it just
Split.
That's it.
Yes, that was a good movie.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I heard it was
Unbreakable
good.
was good.
Unbreakable was
Split
great.
is good, and I'm
Sixth
sure
Sense was
Glass will
good.
be good.
I
And Sixth
hope
Sense,
so.
and that's about it.
I mean, I watched like 3 or 4 more of them before I finally said, "Well, it's kind of like the Kevin Smith thing. You get the affinity for it, and like, all right,
And you're hoping. You're just hoping.
yeah, like, I really want Zack and Miri to make a porno to be good. I really do. And just,
I liked Zack and Miri.
it was fine.
The unrated version, much better.
I can never see enough of Jason Mewes' dick, basically.
And Tom Savini's in that for like 2.3 seconds.
Doing what?
He's when they're in some like garage space
Mm-hmm.
because it was filmed in Pittsburgh and
Yeah.
he lives there and he's just like, this is I couldn't even recall what he said, but he was in it. He was there.
Did any of you ever play Little League?
No.
I was
played
forced to,
soccer
or something
and-
like that. Like, did you have to do the lineup at the end and like,
Yes.
good
Oh,
game, good
Yeah,
game? Like, they
good
did the
game.
good
No.
war.
I didn't ever play a sport.
Did you have to do it with the horses? Because making
Fuck
horses
no.
high five would have been fucking cool as shit. That would have been some Lipizan stallion. Like, you get to have them walking on 2 legs, and you're on the back
No.
doing the Three Amigos deal, and they clop on each other. Is that even possible? Is that physically possible?
For horses to high five?
Yes.
I bet it would be easier for them to do with their legs going.
Like backwards?
Yeah.
I don't want to
But
see
I don't
that.
think they
I don't
can
care
walk
about easy.
backwards.
I care about impressiveness.
You're an
Oh.
American.
I'll think about it. I'll consult my mom. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Let
If we
you know
could,
what
I
she
mean,
says.
that would be a viral YouTube video if ever there was one, like high-fiving horses. I'm going to look that up after we're
all
done.
of you have iPads. I don't even have a phone right now.
It's okay. Well,
like-
this is my memory anymore lasts about this long, so it's all good. The professor's thing of having pains in joints he had removed a century ago.
Can I
think
ask
know where that
something
goes.
really quick about the professor?
Yeah.
This is probably something in the Futurama verse that has been discussed, talked about. So again, forgive my ignorance. Has it been linked that Professor Frank and the professor are like a long separated lineage somewhere?
No, I don't think that's ever even come up.
No.
They-
But now
they
that you
resemble
mention
each
it-
other, and obviously not the voices. There's not the Hyven, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
In certain instances of Futurama, The Simpsons is a TV show.
Okay.
in their universe, and then
Pimpsons.
and then there's other ones where it's
Or it was the Samsons, wasn't it?
No, there was Simpsons on Big Hunk of Garbage because there were like Bart Simpson toys all over it.
Yeah, but the Asarama.
Oh yeah, well Asarama
Samsons
was.
and Asarama. Just like 3 weeks ago, that was in the episode.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
I didn't know if that was something that had been regularly discussed or whatever, like a tongue-in-cheek play, or if there was fanfic, like
There's probably fanfic.
probably, yeah.
But it has not come up before. But now that you mention it, there is. I mean, maybe Matt Groening has one archetype he uses when he draws a professorial character.
Did you guys see he's coming with Linda Barry?
What?
The library?
What?
Yes, in 2019. Tickets still available.
Son of a bitch.
Cuyahoga County Library. Yeah, I forget
Maybe-
which branch, but
Oh, probably one of the shitty
he's hosting
ones.
a roundtable with Linda Barry.
In like Durf or something.
Nice.
No, it's just the two of them. They're
Really?
good friends. Yeah,
That's a very small round table. That's like a coffee table.
that's
like a
beautiful
high top.
table I want to go to. And
Yeah.
just, like,
Shit. Okay. We'll have to look that up. Maybe we can get press passes. Oh,
who needs a photographer?
there you go. We'll get you credentials. The whole Inspector 5 thing where this comes in, that just seemed odd. I mean, I get that it's the
What do you mean it seems odd?
well, like that he's the only person he's ever respected is Inspector number 5. He's never brought him up before in
Right.
89 episodes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why this episode, though there's a lot of funny bits in it,
That just don't matter.
it's one of those episodes that it's like you're trying to go back and tell this story, and you're totally negating like all kinds of other jokes that have happened throughout
I'm just
the
not
series.
giving a fuck anymore. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have a brick hole anymore. He's just squirting oil out of his ass.
And why is that?
That was one of the references from a previous episode I was going to bring up, is that he says, "Let's all get brick faced."
I didn't hear that. No, really?
Yeah.
What point did he say that at?
At some point soon, probably it was the end, I believe. But Bender does say, "Come on, you guys, let's all get brick faced," instead of shit faced, because Bender shits bricks literally.
Yeah.
And there's another one too.
There was a whole little exchange right here in this scene where they go, Bender, you wet the chair. He goes, that wasn't me. That must be some of that urine you're all so proud of.
And then Fry tastes it and goes, "Nope, it's not urine."
I mean, all of that was just, I mean,
So good.
the first thing that comes to mind, it's not maybe not the urine itself, but the expulsion. Like there's a scene in A League of Their Own where Tom Hanks like pees for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
And I think is it Rosie O'Donnell or Madonna who's just like, that's some nice peeing at the end.
Yeah.
Like I've taken to timing myself in the mornings, like on average. And I know it's not like it didn't start is like I wasn't doing it on purpose, but what happens, my alarm goes off at 6. First thing I do is walk into the bathroom, and I walk out of the bathroom at 6:02. So I know every morning I'm good for 2 minutes of expelling liquid chemical waste from my body. And, then you can gauge how much hydration you're going to need during the day and start off that way. Like it's a really good bellwether for what condition your body's in. Like, I'd stay very hydrated. This is probably my 3rd liter of water I'm on today. It's all good.
Good for you.
But like, I can imagine what Tom's old roommate who subsists on nicotine and Dr. Pepper, I think it's probably like syrup.
Yeah.
And that's
One
what
of those
scares me.
molasses
The
tea-
peas
tea-
brown.
Yeah, yeah. Or just it
tree.
comes out like a gel cap and drops. It's just
It just shatters
Blep.
as it hits the bowl.
yeah. like when you boil down Coca-Cola into its component syrup and it's just sticky caramelized stuff.
Gross.
Look. At least it's not poo that we're talking about, right? I mean, not
I
yet.
guess.
These are our options.
Yeah.
So Bender's got an oil leak on the professor's not wheelchair.
Yeah.
The soft chair with wheels. You mean your wheelchair? I don't need a wheelchair. It's the chair with wheels. Bender sprung a leak. Zoidberg says, "You call that an ink defense?" And then just fucking goes nuts.
That was beautiful. And
Loved
rips
it.
his clothes off,
Loved
too. It's
it.
just like... Like, I can spray people with stink somewhat like a skunk, but I wish I had the ability to just, like, I can sweat at people. I can do that for sure. But, like, isn't there, like, some kind of disease or condition you can get where your sweat comes out in different colors? Or is
like
that
one
just
of those candles that you light and they drip different?
kind of? I mean, or is there like? I mean, is that just a hallucination that happens when you take drugs?
Maybe.
I don't know. Because
Ding.
well, I don't know if you're aware of this, and if I've spoken about this on the show before, I apologize. But when you are breastfeeding, one of the things that you're urged to ingest is this herb called fenugreek, which makes your sweat smell like maple syrup. So when we had our daughter and my wife was breastfeeding, she was taking this stuff and her armpits smelled like pancakes. And so, like, if you can make your sweat smell like that, like, can you? There was a thing, like, I don't know if you remember the phantom pancake smell in New Jersey several years ago, but there was like this whole town smelled like pancakes. They're like, what the fuck? And nobody knew.
I'm
And
having a stroke.
It was a fenugreek factory. Like, they were processing fenugreek for, herbs or whatever. And it was making the whole town stink like a delicious breakfast.
Fenugreek? That's like, it sounds like a frat house.
Yeah. It's very unimaginative because it probably originates from Greece. And it's just like, this is Grin America or something. And it's some other sort of thing that makes your blood
My
come
high
out.
school was next to the Krispy Kreme donut manufacturing plant.
For all of Central Ohio?
Yeah. And
That's-
every Wednesday morning was glaze morning. It's glaze day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my god! Well, every morning it would smell like donuts when I would get to school, and then like Wednesdays though, it was like when they made the glaze or something. It was just the smell of just glazed donuts in the air
If you could
until like 2
all
p.m.
see the look on Michelle's face right now. She's
She's
literally in another
world.
place.
But I don't blame her. We just had Spirit Day, which is boring as hell. You guys had Glaze Day?
I mean, it just
It was also
shout
an
out,
art high school.
yeah.
right?
Shout out to Fort Hayes for being in the best location.
Hey, Pete. Chrome hydrosis, also referred to as colored sweat, is a rare condition characterized by the secretion of colored sweat.
How do you get it?
Cases of red, blue, green, yellow, pink, and black sweat have been reported.
Fuck. How if you could sweat black or blue?
Goth as fuck, man.
Yeah, that would be some next level shit.
I'm so goth I sweat black.
What's it called? Chrome hydrosis?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to double back on that. But we get to this point. Bender's got a fatal defect where he has no backup unit that nobody knew about before. Apparently, it never came up. But it was good to know that he had between a minute and a billion years left to get through. And then where he was like, well, how do you all cope? He was like violent outbursts, and Amy has general sluttiness, and Fry's like denial.
Yeah. Amy admitted
Yeah.
general
Well, look,
sluttiness.
but that's because sex positivity still hadn't even been really permanent,
She's
perpetrated
proud
as a
to
concept.
be a slut too.
Yes. I mean, that's just,
Trailblazer.
Yeah.
that's like first wave sex positivity. We're on probably like third or fourth wave now. I don't know.
So why can't sex positive people take the word slut back?
I think they do. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it, but it doesn't
You've
matter.
never heard like a white girl walk into a bar with a bunch of other white girls and go, "What's up, sluts?" You've never heard that? You were a bartender.
Yes.
When a pack of harpies comes in and shrills at you.
A bunch of hens cackling away.
Yeah, but
How,
that's
how?
how are we going to parse this out? When a disenfranchised or segregated social group does reappropriate a word to reclaim it, like queer or whatever, then that turns into the point where there's the people who are like, no, we don't like it, and yes, we do, and they'll fight about that. I mean, it's all the same. It's like with your nice moderate Gloria Steinems, you wind up with your Andrea Dworkins too.
Yeah. And I never said that in a derogatory way Amy was a slut, but this just proves the point that
She relishes it.
Yeah.
And
She's
good for her.
acknowledged
I mean,
her
she's
promiscuity.
basically done it with 60% of the Planet Express staff, which makes for a somewhat uncomfortable work experience, I would imagine. I mean, that's just the ones we know about. Do you think she ever got busy with Zoidberg?
Just
I can't remember. I don't think so.
I don't think so. No one
That
no
we
one
know
does.
about.
Taking it off track, who has had a workplace romance? I have not.
Yes, the same person twice.
Damn. Well, dang.
2 different workplaces too.
It was the Grover Cleveland of Michelle's dating history. My ex-wife and I used to work together, but we were together before we worked together. I
Okay.
got a job at the place that she worked at.
Gotcha.
And then the place I worked prior to that,
I'm just going to answer yes. And
Yeah,
then we're going to move on.
it's complicated, but that was before Facebook, so you couldn't just call it that. It was like, I can tell that story off mic, but yes.
What about
Short.
you?
Too long didn't read.
No, I
Yes.
never have. No.
No.
Nope.
Just wait till you start photographing dead bodies for real and you fall in love with one of them.
One day.
We can only hope.
You can't talk. You're perfect.
Just don't disintegrate on me. Where's the formaldehyde? So the whole thing where Zoidberg offers to give Bender the nice Kevorkian, as you mentioned at the beginning, but
Suicide it is.
where Hermes is camouflaged against the wall
Yeah.
in his mustard-colored shirt.
Yeah.
Faceless bean counters who blend into the woodwork. And he's literally his skin, shirt, vest are all the same color as the wall.
It was, yeah. I mean, that was the biggest switcheroo on this episode. Really was. We'll get there eventually, but you know, there's this whole secret past that he has apparently. When to fill in and make sure things stay good, he gives Leela the little bureaucrat badge. And she immediately shits the bed. Like she cannot fucking hang with the filing, which is basically what it's like to come home to my house after I go on a work trip.
Oh, that alien message that she got?
Yeah, what did that say?
Yeah.
Where did I write it down? On here. It reads, need extra cash? Melt down your old unwanted humans. We pay top dollar.
I mean,
That's great.
I sympathized so much with Hermes because I go away and I come back and then there's like socks hanging from the ceiling fan and like just shit all over. And throughout the course of it, like I'll call home and we'll talk and catch up. And it's like, I'm trying to keep things together. And I know it's like a cyclone of fucking crazy here. I was just saying today, because we borrowed another kid from some friends that's staying over tonight. And that her and my daughter were just like on 11 from the second they walked in the door. We're just like, fuck. And as they were getting ready for bed, I said to my wife, you should thank me every day for getting a vasectomy and stopping you at 1. Because like it's the truth. Like we will never have the defeated look in our eye that we do when you've got more than one kid. We still get a defeated look, but the depth isn't there. like it's you just soulless pools to the back of your skull because it wears you down. And that's like, I don't know how to, like when I see something like that where the papers come in, you need to file them. Like for me, that's my default mode is just organization, take the chaos and box it up and put it together. So like, I get where Leela was just like, I thought she would be better at it because she is a good captain. Mm-hmm. But maybe it's just like when the tasks get below a certain level, she
not
just
good with
loses it.
paperwork.
No,
Not good at all.
not at all. Apparently,
Not
no
enough
one there
hiding
is.
plants.
Yeah, she just like crumpled it up and shoved it in. She pulled a Weinstein on that paper. It's just off it goes. I liked seeing more of the central bureaucracy because it seems like a really neat Willy Wonka-esque
I love
building.
that cubicle room.
Yes, the Rubik's Cube thing.
I wish I had a cubicle room, except for the one guy that like flew off.
But do you think they like strap down or something? Like how did that work?
Well, they're all going, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But they all survive apparently. I mean, if that's how it operates, they're not dying.
Bender did like the part where they scream. Hermes, his cubicle is right next to the center square, which was like
with Paul Lind somehow.
yes.
What is he
Sorry, Hermes, I drank all your wine out. I drank all your wine out.
Well, Bender sharpens a pencil in his butt, so he has a brick hole and a pencil sharpener and an oil leak all coming out of the same side, which is, I mean, that's an impressive feat of engineering in the first place to have
That's
multifunction.
kind of like being a woman.
Yeah.
You want thingamabobs? We got 20. It's all leaking.
I'm glad you said it because
And it's all leaking.
I mean, I wholeheartely agree, but it came out of your mouth first.
Me too.
The part where they do the X-ray and there's a rectangular mass in your colon.
It's a calculator.
He ate it to gain its power.
Yeah.
If you what is it? Is this just apocryphal, or is that why cannibals ate people was to like gain their strength and power after killing them, or they died?
I
Maybe
believe
some of them.
Okay,
Probably
Cannibals
some
in
tribes.
general? Yeah, some.
I'm
tribes.
being anthropomorphically or anthropologically vague, but
I know some tribes do it as a manner of respect.
so
Where
if
they're
you
just like kind of taking their ancestors into them.
Hick.
Uh-huh.
if you could eat one thing to gain its properties, what would that be?
A lion.
Like the whole thing, or just part of it?
As much you have to eat to gain its power.
All of the power,
It's
like
king of the jungle.
the main.
I would become king of the jungle.
fair enough.
I don't know.
Hakuna
Probably.
Matata.
Probably just the heart. Right.
I don't know. I don't know how it works. I'm just proposing it. Like, it seems like a good existential question.
Ooh, I'd eat lion heart
You could probably. Oh, that sounds like a
from
themed meal at LBM. Probably.
Thundercats, and then I'd gain his power.
I thought it was Lionel.
I don't
Lion O? I thought it was Lion
I
O.
don't know.
Lion
Lion-O?
O? Is it Lion O? I don't
Lion
know. I
Heart.
wasn't a
I don't know.
I wasn't a Thundercats watcher. I was not a boy.
I don't remember.
Laura,
little too young.
what would you ingest to become?
The Rock.
Dwayne Johnson or
Dwayne
just
Johnson. Yeah.
That is a powerful
Rock.
man. That's a great
I'm
answer.
sorry, I want his confidence. I want his swagger. I want his look.
He can sing too.
What can't he do?
Nothing.
you know
He
what?
can do it all.
Between him and Paul Rudd, I mean,
what? You know what? Taking a cue from you,
He can't save the movie Skyscraper.
I'd
True.
like some barbecued Terry Crews for me. I'd just like to be him. He just seems like the most amazing person. Maybe him or Mr. T. I feel like Terry Crews is Mr. T 2.0. If you read their Twitter feeds, they're very similar. They're just fucking full of positivity and goodness. Michelle?
I'm still thinking on it. I don't know.
it's a tough question.
I mean, we all went with like
Whose
living
power
stuff.
do I want?
Not even whose, just like
Could it be someone dead?
it could be someone dead. It doesn't even have to be
That opens it up.
It doesn't even have to be something you could eat. Like Hermes ate a calculator to gain the calculator's power.
I'd
So,
change
like,
my answer. I would eat Watson at IBM supercomputer.
to become the super
I
smart.
would get that power.
That's
Okay.
a good one.
Or I'd eat lightning.
You just stand out on a golf course with your mouth open like,
Lightning.
Yeah. you stick like one of those the stainless steel straws in it. Just...
any day now.
Anything?
There's just so many things. I'm overwhelmed by the opportunity and by the
Could eat a plane and
choices.
probably gain the power
I was
to
thinking
fly.
plane. I was
Yeah.
thinking plane. That was what I was gonna go with. But then also like, what if I like ate silly putty and had like I could get flat and like sneak into places and like
Copy newspapers.
yeah.
You could get free tattoos just by leaning up against something. You go get
Yeah,
comic books
see,
and
that would
like,
be cool.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to stick with Terry Crews, though. I think that would probably just be my best life ever because he's, I love him so much. He's really great. But that's where Bender gets ready to kick ass by putting on ass-kicking feet, which he's never referenced before. I didn't know he had like interchangeable attachments. Is that something that's come up?
Interchangeable attachments.
He's got ass-kicking feet. He's taking off his regular feet and putting on ass-kicking feet, which have big spikes all over them and shit.
I mean, he's flipped his arm into like a saw and things like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I mean, this is the kind of shit that doesn't even bother me anymore. I'm just trying to.
He
figure out if it's
unscrewed his head
continuous.
and put it into his chest cavity to cry and yell when he found out that he didn't have the
unit.
backup unit.
Yeah, so. This is the part that I don't understand. the part we've established that he's got some sort of interdimensional TARDIS-like thing going on in his chest cavity, but there also seem to be times where you put stuff in there and it comes right back out.
It's probably up to him how it works.
Functions. So like because I feel like he just put his head in there and is like sitting on a little shelf, and then he takes it out. But like there's other times where he has an entire swimming pool full of children inside.
I mean, if
there.
we're going like that, it's like a magical chest cavity, like the TARDIS.
It's a scientific chest cavity.
Yeah.
It's a magical science.
Then it just does what it needs to do when it needs to do it.
A TARDIS is
That's literally what the TARDIS does.
Yeah, it's those Time Lords. They're weird. But this is where it gets strange. Inspector number 5's file has been blanked out.
Did you get suspicious? Or were you still like,
I honestly, the reveal at the end got me. Like there was something that right at the end I was like, well, how would that work? And then the reveal came right after that. But just it seems strange. I figured it would be some sort of thing going back, but it could have been anyone. I mean, it could have been the professor. It could have been,
right.
Could have been George Takei or so, just like whoever. Like it really could have gone in a number of directions. I just knew that hijinks would ensue. But then they flash back to Leela. This is actually before everything melts down. She's reading World's Bravest Hamsters, which I think is.
She read another world for like bravest animal in something else.
But I think like Hamster Adventures is like a genre of young adult novel. Like there's been like 4 books that my daughters had to read through grade school so far that are all starring omniscient hamsters.
Yeah.
The Humphrey series. And then you have the like mouse on a motorcycle Ralph
Yeah,
stuff.
Beverly Cleary.
Not to be that was Beverly Cleary, and then there's Stuart Little, which was not that.
Right.
So like I don't know. It seems like Leela's got a thing for small animals.
Ratatouille.
I was just gonna say Ratatouille.
At what point did vermin stop being cute?
Never.
Are you sure?
I think they're cute.
Rats are terrifying.
They are not.
I
Very
love rats.
smart.
They're super smart.
That's why
They're terrifying when
They're better
bite-
pets than hamsters.
Bite a hole into another rat, because that happened to my rats.
Had they just given birth? Was
No,
It, like
it was 2 boys. They've always gotten along, and something happened, and then the one rat bit a giant chunk and took a chunk out of the other rat's side.
no.
And basically, we just kind of got antibiotics for it and gave it to it for a week, and was like, well, we're gonna see what happens.
Tell
And
me
it's
again
healing up.
how great rats are.
They're great.
They're not okay.
They're fun.
But he lived.
He's
right?
lived. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
healing.
See, nature figured it
Oh, this
out.
is a current story.
Yes,
Wow.
it happened like a month ago.
You should have that rat on this podcast.
We don't have headphones tiny enough to put on him.
But then I thought something else would happen when they go into the tiny locked room with the special filing cabinet. And like, why do you think all of those inspectors were separated into that special? Like, was this like the ancient ones or something? Or, Hermes
You
is
mean
a bureaucrat.
The filing cabinets?
Yes.
I think it's just the filing. I think everyone's got a paper file somewhere.
Ugh, that depresses me.
I mean, if they're all bureaucrats.
Yeah, it's charmingly analog at this point, though. It's like vintage, that shit. Actually, that would That's probably like the next handmade thing is you could like create little dossiers for people and sell them at a handmade market.
Speaking of handmade things, after they go in there and try to find the paper file for Inspector Number 5, they go outside and Bender walks into a booth. And Hermes says, no, suicide's not the answer. And Bender goes, this isn't a suicide booth, it's a phone booth. And Hermes goes, they have phones and booths now? I can stop lugging the cell phone around, and just throws it in the garbage.
He says suicide isn't necessarily the answer, which is probably more accurate. Actually, this ties back to the job that I worked at with my ex-wife. I got hired there to organize like 100 years worth of old paper files.
Oh,
it was a university that had they had started in the mid 1800s, and when I was like 5, and then they merged. So they had all these different permutations, but they just had boxes, like banker boxes full of unsorted files. So I had to go through these by year.
Oh yeah, I did that
alphabetical
too.
And stuff.
When I worked for OSU, I worked for the director of human resources for the veterinary college.
Oh my God.
And I had to file like 10 years worth of weekly timesheets. For all the employees. I had to organize them by employee and by year and alphabetically. And I was in the basement for like months, but they paid me. It was like $9 an hour to do it, and I was a college student.
Wow.
So,
and it's like everything's moldy and dusty and dirty
gross.
and gross. But this sounds apocryphal because it's literally one of those shitty stories that someone would tell thinking it's funny. So I'm prefacing it with that. But when I got into the 1940s, the first fucking box I opened, the first card I looked at, was a poor woman named Anita Dick. And it's, that's like, they had a kid named Lamangelo and Arangelo. Like, I know it sounds like that, but this was just some poor lady who 70 years ago, she was out of this.
back when Dick meant detective.
Yeah. She was one sharp cookie. She was gumshoe. I mean, it was just like, I wish I had a fucking camera phone at that point just to document that. Or it was some wiseacre I'm going to slip this one in there. And it's, I can send my friends and be like, yes, I need to see my student record. What's your name? Dick. Anita Dick. What did you say? My name's Anita Dick. And it goes on from there. I never found any like Mike Hunts or anything like that. Although
You didn't call her?
Although I did go to grade school with a guy named Mike Hunt. So that's also 100% fucking true.
I bet he goes by Michael.
Yeah.
Mikkel.
Mick, anything other than that. It's pronounced Hunt. I don't know. I thought Mom had previously issued defective robots. So this whole turn where he calls Mom and he's like, hey, I'm defective, what gives? Like, she's automatically ready to blow him up and just destroy him. Is this is also just sort of like serving the plot or what?
Yep.
Okay. Because I figured she was like, fuck it. Yeah, let him be defective and then I'll sell you another one.
Nope. All plot.
She's kind of the worst.
Yeah, this episode sucks.
Did you not like it?
I don't like this episode at all.
Really?
Yeah. I think the end is kind of adorable, but just it's like one of those episodes like retelling of a Simpsons backstory that
I guess that's why I like it.
Yeah,
I
but
think that's interesting that like I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I've never really watched any other.
This sets off a jag of fantastic gags like right now.
Yeah.
The idiot killbots.
Yeah.
And
Someone set fire.
And the pile of dead bears near the 738.
Yeah.
So I just have to ask, did you not like it because it seemed like a throwaway episode in a sense?
I think for me it was the fact that I was such a big fan when Futurama was on originally, and then when it got canceled and it came back, and then they threw this episode in like 5-6 episodes into the brand new season. You're like, this doesn't make any sense as far as what has happened, because there's a lot of stuff in it that is like reoccurring, but then this is like so different of how Bender was, Bender came about than
totally
what
fair.
what
Yeah.
they've
I didn't
done
realize
before.
this was after
Yeah.
the
And Tom hates
Reboot.
Bender to begin with, so he's not a favorite character to have
Right.
a Bender-centric episode.
Gotcha.
Is that? I mean, that makes sense. But just the bears, all the stuff on top of the train where they start shooting the bullets and it's playing calypso music on Bender, like that was just, I loved it. It was so silly. And then they do the limbo all the way through that giant train tunnel. Like that's perfect for Hermes and Bender because they're the only two characters that can get away with that. Hermes was an Olympic limbo dancer.
Transcontinental Underground Railroad.
Yeah. But somehow they wind up at the Mexican border, which from New York would be a long fucking train ride, right?
I don't know. It's year 3000. Maybe they moved it.
Yeah.
They're at Tijuana. It's like literally on the opposite side of the continent.
Yeah, maybe they moved it.
They moved Tijuana.
It's the future.
That's true. I should have gone there a couple months ago.
I'm not saying they moved like where the location. They physically moved Tijuana closer to New York.
Like just erased it and put it up somewhere else.
Just like now there isn't Texas in between.
I
or
was
something.
20
I don't
minutes from
know.
the border and I had my passport and I just didn't make it happen. And the chances are, if I went across, I probably wouldn't have come back. I would have done a Thor hire doll and been like, look at my raft made out of bamboo. I'm going to sail to Easter Island off of the west coast of Mexico.
Though this with them going to Mexico and the fact that this is a recurring thing that always happens is that Bender was made in Mexico.
Yeah,
so
it was
he's
Bender
Mexican.
Bending
Yeah.
Rodriguez. Is that? Have you guys ever been there?
Mexico? No.
Yeah.
No.
Nope. I've never been outside of.
I don't honestly I don't have a desire to go.
No?
No, why? Like
Well, Sparks is playing there in November. That'd
That's
be fucking
fine,
cool.
but
Go to Mexico City to see Sparks.
like what
Go anywhere to see Sparks.
there's
really.
nowhere there's nothing in Mexico that I'd want to go for.
Mexican food?
Tacos.
Aztec temples?
To be honest, like American Mexican food is
Beautiful
sufficient
women.
for me.
Surly men with fantastic
There's
fucking
beautiful women
mustaches.
everywhere.
This is true. This is true.
yeah.
But
There's
that's-
nothing I want to go see there. There's nothing I want to do
I'll
there.
I'll go lots of places to see beautiful ladies.
Yeah, but yeah, I just why Mexico?
Because Mexican food, beautiful ladies,
You're not really selling me out.
great mustaches,
Music.
Sparks in November,
All reasons that
sugar skulls,
those are reasons why you would go to Mexico.
drug cartels.
That is why a
Beheadings.
giant reason why I would not go to Mexico.
Back me up here. There's got to be another thing. What can we sell him on
Don't
this?
you want to be held for ransom?
That's been my dream since I was 5. Fuck.
Where's your
Somebody
suspension?
wants me.
All right, I'll
Someone
tell
put
you,
a
I would
word
go to
to my
Mexico in like going to like an all-inclusive resort where I
There you
wouldn't
go.
leave there.
There you go.
But then I could also go to like Jamaica or
You're going to go to Put in Bay.
yeah.
You know what they wouldn't have at Put in Bay, though? A bunch of Mexican people cooking delicious food.
You don't know that.
I do know that. I mean, to be fair, probably everyone on the island of Put in Bay is Mexican cooking food. Like everyone cooking food on the island is seasonal.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
A
I
lot
don't
of
know.
the Mexican resorts too have been investigated for the alcohol that they serve, causing people to black out after 1 or 2 drinks.
Well, that's how you
So,
keep the cost
danger.
down.
Yeah.
That's how you.
And the water.
Look,
It's how you weed out the weak, I guess.
as long as it works. Like, I mean, if it's gonna take, it's the same as taking like a bullet train. I'm gonna get to the same place, but if I can get there faster, then why not?
Why not?
No, I mean, I was there several years ago, and it was sort of a resorty thing. So it's not like I saw the real shit or anything. But I'd love to go back. Well, it is so fantastic to not be in America.
I guess are so many lists of places like that I want to see before going to Mexico.
Like Detroit.
I've been to Detroit, so
Okay.
no.
Madison, Wisconsin.
No.
Detroit's fun.
It's fine.
Most of Europe,
They've built up their city again.
They have-
most of the United States.
No, you don't. I mean, you don't need to see most of it.
Most of the United States is on the list before Mexico for me.
All right. I don't know how we got this deep into it. I
don't
figured
know.
you'd have
I-
something to
no.
chime
I find it hilarious that you're defending it so badly, like it's some amazing place to go.
Mexico.
You know what? Look, at this point, I feel like defending Mexico is one of the most patriotic fucking things you can do. Really, they're standing up to our shitty president. You're gonna pay for the wall. Like, fuck you. No, we're not. Like, that's literally what their ex-president says to him. He's like, no, fuck you. I love it. But what did they throw over the Did they just throw a rock over to Tijuana, and then there's like the disembodied voice of the Ay Dios Mio guy? Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like where a stone's throw from Tijuana and he throws the rock and it hit. Ow!
Yeah. Let me find that part. I've got it somewhere. Yeah, he says, Dios mío, a rock has fallen in the outskirts of Tijuana. And Bender says, is it within city limits? And then it says, I think yes.
Yeah.
But Hermes has all the paperwork already.
Yes.
Like, that's perfect.
I also would have accepted a bribe.
Which, that tracks. But he was reading Cactus Fancy magazine. Which, I'd actually like to see that. Like, the cacti are just fucking crazy plants.
And people would buy the shit out of that magazine today.
Yeah.
Have you seen women with succulents?
Oh, yeah.
I am one of them. Like, and I know Brandy is too.
Yeah.
Like your wife.
How can we monetize? We could do a spin-off. Like, we could do a podcast about cacti.
About what?
Cacti. Just like drag microphones
Sounds
across
so
the spines
boring.
to see.
ASMR.
Like, any more boring than listening to me try and talk Tom into going to Mexico? Really?
Let's just start a podcast. Each week, we try to talk Tom into going to Mexico.
It's called Tom Doesn't Go to Mexico.
This is perfect. So it's just weird that there's like the robotics factory right there. And Hermes, maybe I took the notes wrong. Is it Hermes that's obsessed with going to the cockfight?
Another thing, I just watched Coco.
Yeah.
There's a lot of skeletons in those cemeteries.
But they're
don't wanna
genial
go.
as fuck. They're very friendly.
I know.
They're just looking
they're
for
scary.
to be revered, which you would do if you were a good, family descendant, right?
It's up to the family to decide, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Hermes really wanted to go see a cockfight. But then it just seemed weird when they're just like, oh, look at that big pile of Mexican garbage, and they started like,
Oh, they have cockfights in Mexico? Then let's go.
yeah, that's all I need.
I'm
to think
sold.
about. They've got bullfights
They're
too.
legal?
There's a giant bullfighting ring you can see from like the border.
I'll get the car.
Yeah. He lived at Inspector 5 lived at 387 Avenida Con Pollo. And this is where it just got weird. Like the lizard crawling in Bender's head, just sucking into his eyeballs. Like that was kind of troubling to me.
I don't remember that part.
No, like there was a big iguana that just kind of crawled up his head and then like went in between his eye tubes. Right when they walked in the house, I think.
Oh.
And then there was a continuity thing where they walk in and the computer's on the desk, and then they do another shot and the computer's not on the desk, and then it was back.
Yeah. That was a goof.
But
continuity error.
Yeah, but when he asked, "Do you want to spend your life in a bitter homicidal rage?" I mean, I've kind of done it for a good chunk of mine. Like I get it. It can be satisfying, or at least consuming. It makes you feel like you've got a hobby. I don't know. But this kind of brought, the whole retcon thing that comes back was Bender is very emotional for a robot that they have established over and over and over doesn't have emotions, but clearly does. Because he's like, just super upset and crying and weird about this whole thing. Like, clearly he got inspected, so why does it matter?
It's uncharacteristic of Bender, the way he acts in a lot of this episode.
It's like his confidence has been completely undermined by the fact that he was defective, but he didn't know he was defective until someone told him was defective.
That sounds like a paramour to my last relationship.
You say that like, I mean, it literally ended minutes ago, Laura. apparently.
Continue.
Was it because you were coming on the show?
Not again. Fuck you.
Anywho.
Yeah, take you and your portraits somewhere else, sister. But this was the part that I was like, okay, this is weird, because it seemed like all of the computer terminals could only be opened by the person who the computer terminal belonged to. So when Hermes is like, oh, I'll hack the terminal and get it in, how did he get into the terminal? Well, it's because Hermes is Inspector number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Big twist in the plot. I was not expecting it.
This wasn't the first time I'd watched this episode, but I don't remember if I was expecting it the first time I watched it or not.
I watched this when it came out back in when it was new, and I don't remember. I just remember because I watched it with a group of people because we were excited that Futurama came back, so we all got together each week, and then it just being oh, this come on, this isn't what happened, and this isn't. Mm-hmm. We were very skeptical about Futurama as it returned, but there's some the next episode. I can't wait. It's one of my favorite episodes of the whole series. Okay,
I mean, so he just tells the system that Bender's dead, and that fixes the problem. But the Killbots kill all themselves anyway. That's the part that I love. It's just what did they say? There was something where they said it, and they kept doing these puns that would be about shooting or firing or whatever, and then they just turn on each other. He said blah blah blah.
Yeah, you got the one Killbot was we're gonna get fired. Did somebody say fire?
Yeah. There's another one at the very end though.
Well, Killbot says, Mom called off the attack, although I don't see how it's her. And then the other Killbot said, someone said howitzer. And then
that's the one. That's the one. It was fucking beautiful. I loved it. And then they go back to Planet Express, and it's fucking. Zoidberg is being roasted on a fucking spit.
He's getting overcooked.
Yeah, it shit's on fire, and that's what I mean. Every time I leave and come back, that's what I feel like. It's like when I walk in, I'm like, okay, I need you not to talk to me for 3 hours, and then I'm doing laundry and washing dishes and paying bills and filing stuff. It's just just let me. Yes, it's nice to see you. Just let me settle, please, because if I can't put this stuff away, it's gotten better since I started taking medication for it. So I have that going for me now. It helps. Hey, everybody, go see your doctor. Get some pills. Big Pharma is your friend. And it only takes them an hour to fix it. And then they bust out the Jose Servo tequila. Another dumb
And they get
pun.
brick-faced. Oh, the other episode reference was when they were walking around Tijuana, and Bender says, "Oh, nice. I was in Italy last week." Because last week they were in Italy.
Oh my God! Yeah. Wait. Oh shit. They went to Futurama.
Yeah.
Please, again, forgive.
No,
is that a pizza place? I pray it is.
It's just the city of Rome,
future,
3,000 years or 1,000 years from
that.
now. That's where the space pope lives. And then they do the weird flashback, and those cloying emotional scenes always bother me in this. I know it's the heart of the show and everything, but young Hermes with the crazy hair, and just the number one, he was Inspector number 5. So why didn't he just say that? Or how is Bender a cute baby robot? How does he grow? Because robots don't grow. I don't understand any of this. This is where just all is just fuck it. We're gonna throw this shit in. It didn't make sense to me at all.
I'll just wait till the birds and the bots.
Fuck. It just gets worse, right? It'll just bother me. That was the kind of stuff where I'm just whatever. But the other thing it made me think about, because Hermes' hair was a little more shapely and odd then. And I was watching an episode of Luke Cage last night, and one of the Jamaican gangsters had this crazy hair thing going on. I just saw it in profile briefly in a outside nighttime shot, but it looked like he had so imagine you had a rooster comb, but they were big fat fist-sized chunks, if you had an arm with a fist sticking out of your head, but 3 of them, it just seems like it'd be heavy and unwieldy. And it didn't look like straight up dreadlocks or anything. It was just this weird, I don't know. I love that show. That's good. But it's definitely taken a turn this season. It's gotten very strange, and apparently there's a lot of backlash about the patois. And I'm not informed enough to have an opinion on that one way or the other, but it's sometimes hard to understand what they're saying. So that kind of wrapped up the end of it. I mean, you only had to watch 2 of these shows, right?
It's so sad. Like, for as much of a fan as I am of Matt Groening's, I still have not delved into... I feel like the reason I have not gone down the Futurama path is I want to give it proper due, and I want to be able to, absorb and...
Well, so how do you feel about this new Disenchantment show coming out? In a really, wasn't it 31 days now as the countdown?
So I know about it.
Yeah.
I've heard about it. I don't know a lot about it. I don't know what network it's coming out on.
Netflix.
Okay, so it is streaming for the masses. No, that's good. I think it's great. I think it's been a long while since there's been any new Matt Groening content.
Yes,
he's
that
we
been
can
coasting.
really like. And even when I say new Matt Groening content, obviously he had the,
Oh, wait, The Simpsons is still on the air.
No, it's exactly. And I say that and I feel shitty saying that because, like, he's done, like, far more than I will ever do in my life and has influenced far more, people than I ever will and will continue to do so with that in Futurama. But it's just, I don't know, it's a different realm to dive into rather than continuing to create content that's based on things that you've been doing for this long duration and creating something new and creating something that's based around female characters. I think that's really...
I think it has a lot of potential.
That's really special.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it has great potential, especially in the current climate that we're at. And I'm really, really super excited to...
I think there's a lot of, we've talked about it a little bit, but there's a lot of overlap on the voice talent from Futurama to Disenchantment.
There's some. I don't think they're...
I think Billy West and Maurice LaMarche are both in it.
Yeah, they've been really secretive about who's doing what on that show, too.
Yeah.
Like, 95% of the cast on the show, like, it shows who is a voice in it,
but not who they are.
Not even a character name. Like, they've barely said what the show is about. It's like the princess who's like an unlikely princess,
like
type.
Brave, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, which is fine.
Like,
I like
then they
that
have all
too.
these actors, like a lot of British actors too. Like Noel Fielding is apparently a voice, but I'm like, is he a main character? Is he like
Just
a
pop
one
in.
line like talking mouse that runs through a seat? Like, I want him to be in every episode. But they have there's like no character names for anybody, and there's barely any information. But I from what I've seen, the 30-second trailer that they've posted on that Netflix posted, it looks like it'll be pretty good.
Do you think they'll dump the whole series, or are they going to parse it out?
I think they'll do the whole thing.
Just
like
when it comes
for
out, there's your whole binge
I don't
it.
think has Netflix really done like the weekly releases? I know Hulu does with
Joel
like,
McHale, Michelle Wolf.
Yeah, but those are different. Those are
Chelsea Handler
those
stuff.
are like
but not the fictional or the scripted content.
Those shows aren't like they're scripted, but they're like dependent on
Topical.
like this week's politics and whatever jokes.
When is the release date for it?
It's mid-August. Like it's coming
August
out.
19th.
Oh, okay. So that's super quick. I was
Yeah.
going to say you could go to the Matt Groening, Linda Berry
This is
thing
true.
and ask, but that's not happening here till...
We can go and ask him to
2019.
apologize for it next year after it comes out.
If
And
you
it's
hate it,
shit.
yeah.
It's total shit. No, that'll be good. We can regroup on that. And of course, I don't know if you recall this from the last episode, or it may have been off mic talk, but Laura and I have planned to do a separate podcast too. We're just spin-offs after spin-offs after spin-offs.
So
But I'm
many
gonna keep it
podcasts.
secret.
This was well over a year ago that I have been like tapping him. Not
Sounds
even
like you've got a
physically.
lot more free time, Laura, so let's talk.
I don't. Well, now I do. But no, I mean like you have a child and a wife. I don't have anything.
Look, they can
But
they
this
can
bottle of
feed
wine-
themselves and go to the
Me either.
bathroom. It's all good.
No.
We have our own food spin-off that we're working on too, with like
yeah.
ticketed events. I mean, it's
that's
a whole
awesome.
thing. It's
I would still like to do that podcast. I'm back in school now. I'm going for the criminology
You're
degree.
gonna see so many dead people.
I've already seen some. It's a hoot.
Wait, were any of them Bruce Willis?
No, so I took that forensic photography exhibit.
Oh, is that the thing in Miami with the
Yes.
with the murder scene Airbnb?
Yes, I went to Miami to take a
I've not heard of
workshop.
this, but that sounds great.
It was a forensic photographer workshop in Miami, and I took it last year, and it was amazing. It was wonderful. They taught you how to shoot for a crime scene, and it was really based for currently working detectives and cops to learn how to use a camera and how to process a crime scene and do photos. But I was kind of coming from the opposite end of it, where I already knew how to use a camera. I'm just not a detective. And I was like, I'm a student. Can I take this? And they were like, yeah, sure. We'll take $1,000. If you want to pay it, we'll take it. So I was like, student loans, charge it. But yes, I got to spend a week in the Miami-Dade County medical examiner autopsy suite, and I saw some shit.
Did anybody dress like Crockett and or Tubbs? Was it, pastels
did you meet Dexter Morgan?
Yeah.
I did not. I honestly, the thing that I saw, which it wasn't even the thing that I saw that was the worst. It was the thing that I saw and smelled that was the worst.
Oh, yeah.
It was a man who had been, I don't know if he had been electrocuted or burned, but he had been completely toasted to the level of this color. And they always say it smells like barbecue, and it does. I know that sounds very, very weird, but walking in next to him, it was the day after they had found him, and I was like, is that pulled pork?
It's
like, what the hell? Like,
I smell long pig.
But it is so bizarre, and let me tell you, he did not die peacefully. No. He was just like, rah! Like, I mean, it was horrible.
They just killed someone like that on Luke Cage last night.
I bet he had a much.
It was violent.
Yes. It was not real.
They covered him in rum and then lit him on fire. It was amazing.
We should probably wrap up this podcast. That's been 40% about Futurama and 60% about other things.
Tom had to run out to deal with some stuff, so he's not just being quiet. He actually left. Thank you for coming back on the show. It is so much fun to have you back.
I'm sorry for offering no content concerning Futurama whatsoever.
You were fantastic as always. We're sorry. We're sorry about your recent personal tribulations.
It's fine.
Anything you'd like to plug? Are you still doing storytelling stuff?
I don't do anything. I'm in school now. No one cares about that.
Well, Laura published a book a couple years ago called Faces of Cleveland. It's a really cool, just sort of study of interesting people that live in this city.
Interestingly enough, I had been going through another bad breakup and decided to funnel my pain into photographic art prints, one of which is Peter's beautiful, gorgeous, funny, intelligent wife, Brandy, included in this book.
And, there's maybe pictures of me that could show up. And it's like I said when you came in, it sounds like it's time for volume 2. But
it sounds ripe, yeah.
But otherwise, you're always welcome to come back, and maybe we'll get our spinoff started shortly now.
Yes. I would love that.
We can. Well, what do we have anything else going on?
We did get a review a couple weeks ago, a new one that was nicer than the ones that we got at the beginning of June. From HateCat 515.
Yes.
Gave us 5 stars. Been listening since the beginning, but finally got around to adding a review after hearing some of the negativity about the other reviews in the most recent episode. Yeah, fuck the guy who said we're annoying and said that Tom sounds drunk.
Because he does. It's fine. That's Tom.
Why listen if you think we're annoying? And he said he wasn't going to, so that's fine. He probably won't hear this, but if he's still listening, fuck you. So she said, love the podcast and hope that you guys will keep going with another series once you, sad face, run out of Futurama episodes. I like the disenchantment idea. Hopefully it turns out to be decent. Keep up the great work. Looking forward to hearing your take on the Comedy Central episodes. And yes, I also think Tom sounds drunk most of the time, but if it bothers you that much, maybe you should be drunker. Cheers, Allison. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you very much.
Hot take. I like it.
Yeah, she's speaking her mind, and we agree with her. This will be out. It's mid-August. If you're in the Cleveland area, both my band and Tom's band are playing Pressure Fest, which has lots and lots and lots of great bands. Several former guests and their bands are playing. Bill Squire, not former friend of the show. He's a friend of the show, former guest host. He'll be performing comedy on this, and it's put on by Pressure Life magazine, which I want to say at least a couple of their staff members have been on too. We had Dan Bernardi on a while ago, and we're working on some others. So if you're in Cleveland on August 18th, it's a 3-venue music festival for the low price of like $15 and lots and lots and lots of great stuff going on. So if you aren't in Cleveland, just fly here or drive here and take a boat from Canada. I don't care. It'll be a good time.
Swim across Lake Erie.
Yeah.
Have you had Jim Baca on?
No, we'll shake him down there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
He's the creator of all of that.
There we go. It's synergy, right? Next year we can do a live episode.
Hey.
Yeah. We can be found at slurmcast.com. We have all of our episodes and a link to our TeePublic shop. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram and Twitter at slurmcastpod. You can email us at slurmcastpod@gmail.com. You can call us, leave voicemails, send us texts or pictures or other things at 216-438-1077.
That sounds right.
That sounds right.
Should I never remember the phone number?
Yeah, and please rate and review us on iTunes. It's great to have stuff like Allison wrote. It's less great to have whoever the other guy was. It says Tom sounds drunk. Accurate.
He wasn't
but
even
mean.
the most negative one.
No, there's a couple out there. But look, giving us a shitty review is still giving us a review, so we'll take it. And we'll be back soon with another new episode. Have a great night.
Goodbye.
You can review me at nowhere.
Yeah.
And leave
5
me a 5-star
stars.
review. Currently
Hey,
single.
but at least you gave us a
440-3617. Call it. I might probably not pick up.
Oh God!
And if I sound drunk, it's probably because
we'll edit that out.
yeah.
Bye.